Well, mini trucking stuff is kind of off the table for the night. It's about 12 degrees here. Some more snow. I don't think we're supposed to get a whole lot, but when it's 12 degrees, it's going to be in the 20s and 30s the rest of the week. So I don't think this is going anywhere. Even an inch of snow will stick around for a minute. But what are we going to work on tonight? Well, let's go into where all the magic happens. So excuse the mess. Kind of got through everything in here at the last minute. I hate to leave my tractors and mowers out in the snow, but so just pulled everything in here and kind of just crumpled, bundled everything up. But oh well. So anyway, make a little video here. I've been waiting for these for a while. So make a little video putting the glow plugs back in the John Deere 740. I put the, let me see, cleaned out the tank, cleaned out the strainer, ran some new fuel lines, pressure washed under the seat and under the fenders and whatnot. Man, you'd be surprised how much debris gets under here. Even with cleaning it a lot. I clean it regularly, but it still gets under there. It's hard to, little dust particles and leaves. But anyway, that's all back on and cleaned out. I had to do some configuring, rig some things up for the strainer. I think I got that solved. They want you to buy a new tank. Like, you can't get the strainer separately, nor can you get the sending unit or the pickup, whatever you want to call it. And the gauge for the fuel gauges. The fuel gauge is like, the tank is here. The fuel gauge is like right here, and it runs like sideways, and that's separate for that, for the gauge. Then the pickup is like about right there. Now the upgrade for it is about $1,500. So there's nothing wrong with my tank. I cleaned it all out. I was having issues with what they call diesel bugs, and got all that cleaned out, squared away, got the strainer cleaned, filter, all that stuff. So I figured while I was here, like I said, I ran new lines, all new lines for everything, and new filter, all that stuff, new lines here. And this, I don't know if you see it very well in the video, but this little tube here goes to all three injectors. And I think I also had a leaking injector. I don't know that to be a fact, but this one looked different than the other two. So who knows? I didn't test it, anything like that, but I know I was having pickup troubles with the fuel, getting fuel. Also put a new pump on it since I'm there, since I'm figuring that there's probably residual mess coming up the line. The lines are actually pretty clean, but just in case. So I said, well, while I'm here, I'll go ahead and put new injectors in it. Bought 3 new injectors. And this tube here, I could not get that off. These two came off okay, but this one back here, it was just everything I tried to get it off. And when I finally did get it off, just the way it is, it actually ended up twisting. Even with a wrench on the part, even with a wrench here and on the bottom, it still ended up twisting. It just wouldn't break free from that washer. And so anyway, I had to buy a new tube. Had to do a little bending and stuff to get it fixed. It's actual John Deere part. I tried to replace everything with actual John Deere parts. So I bought these. This is like the third set I bought online, and everywhere I've looked around, these are actually just a tad longer. The tip is just a tad longer than the original ones, but I can't find ones with the original size, no matter where I go, John Deere, everything. So I took my little air nozzle and put a little mark on it to kind of mimic this. And it doesn't bottom out, but like I said, it's just you know, the injector's here, and the glow plugs go here, and of course the pistons are down there, so there's no possibility, I believe, of the pistons hitting anything. So, but I'm gonna use them anyway because I've got to get this back going. It'll be spring and summer before you know it. And these are some of my money makers here. So here we go. Slider on in. Slider on in. And slider on in. 12 millimeter. Like I said, they go all the way down. I'll put a marker on the seat and I end one with paint, and you can see where it does bottom out, it does seat. So we're gonna go with it. This has been down for, wow, since November, waiting on parts. It just, I don't know why, but anyway, it just takes forever to get things here. So that one's in, that one's tight. Kind of put them in how they felt coming out. So take these little nuts off here. Of course, you might want to put something down there, here, whatnot, so you don't drop a nut. Excuse the pun. But anyway, get that off. Let's see here. Where is it? Where'd you go? So I had to move a couple of these. There it is. I had to move them. I was testing some things out, didn't want things touching. So that's one. Kind of redundant here, but got the camera going, so keep it going. Two. I replaced these before on another mower I had, pretty much, the exact same engine, but I can't recall if they were longer than what I had, but oh well. The thread right there is a little longer too, and I'm hoping that it doesn't touch the valve cover. Oil. Okay. I have a problem. So that's that. I'm going to go get a little socket and tighten these up for the grounds, and then I'll get the valve cover, wipe down the mating surface, and put that on. All right, so here's the valve cover. Sorry for the kind of maybe quirky video. I'm out here by myself. It's cold. Feels like I'm too close to the object. Well, anyway, got the mating surface wiped down a little bit, just mainly to get the little bit of smudging off and making sure there's no debris on it or anything. So these are tight. Went ahead and tightened those up. You want to definitely make sure they're nice and snug, but of course it's so small you don't want to overdo it. But you know, it's a diesel, so she's vibrating, and definitely want to make sure they don't come off on a job. Leave you stranded somewhere or something like that, where you got to run home, grab the other mower, or you know, anything that will impede your day of getting back home sucks. So you want to make sure that you try to do things as right as possible with this stuff. So here's the valve cover. I was able to save the gasket. Finding things for these is pretty hard, and if you do find it, it takes forever for it to arrive. So I don't have anywhere to put the camera the way you can see me putting it on, but I've got everything I need to have moved out of the way. Got the zip tie there. Like I said, the biggest thing, you just kind of want to drop her back on down. Yeah, it'd be easier with the exhaust off and all that stuff, but you can still do the job. I took a vacuum before I took everything off and went through everything with a small nozzle, all that stuff, to get off everything I could and take it off, and then kind of look it over before you move anything to see if you got to kind of dig into it a little bit better and clean things up a little bit better, whatever. But it didn't look bad to me. So, all right, so I'm gonna pause this and put this on and get back to you. All right, so I got that on, no problems. I went ahead and took the vacuum and just re-vacuumed all the ports and anything that could maybe drop something as I'm wiggling it down. Like I said, it'd be a lot easier without this on, obviously, and maybe move some things, but it goes down. Move the wire harness and stuff, it's fine. Got the bolts in. I've got 2 bolts that slide in. You can see down in there, by the muffler. And of course, it's a bit of a tight squeeze. So what do we do in that situation? Well, the old tape. Don't know if you can see it. Kind of put that on there, around there like so. Not a big thing. Just kind of, you just don't want it to fall out. It doesn't have to be, you can do more tape, less tape, but as you're putting it down, you're going to want to be able to pull that off without any issue or tape sticking under the bolt or whatnot. So, like I said, I'm sorry for the jerky movements, but not going anywhere. Put that down on in there. Once you get it started, I think it's started, it feels like it is, and you can kind of just pull it on out. Sometimes you got to do 2 pieces of tape, because once it conforms to the first one, then I think we can get away with it. So we're gonna slide that one in down like so. I don't have room to turn it, so I'll grab my ratchet. I think we got it started, no problems. Yeah, started so. All right, so I'm gonna back away for a moment. And I'm not 100% of the torque specs. You find so much misinformation online, and I'm not gonna pay for the actual schematics and all that stuff. Like I said, it's kind of common sense. I usually, if I don't know exactly maybe the torque sequence, it's rule of thumb for me anyway, to kind of start from the center and kind of work your way around. And of course, you're not wanting to go as tight as you possibly can. You want to kind of get, well, that's what torque is for. But that's what I always like to snug up and then see where we're at. If I start it, see some leaks, then I can kind of go through it again. That's what I normally do with stuff like that. I'd rather it leak and kind of snug it up than over tight. Even though this is aluminum, it's not going to bend per se, but you do have a gasket under it. Sometimes you can squish that out, even though it's ribbed in there and the gasket just lays up in there nicely, but you can still damage it. So no need to be, too tight with things of that nature. So I'm gonna tighten these bolts up, then see if we'll fire it up. I might have to give it a jump because it's been sitting for about 2 weeks, waiting on these parts to come in, but I don't see anything touching. I know this one's not touching. I don't know if you probably can't, well, you can see the shiny new, but that's not touching. And I'm hoping it's the same for these. I really can't see them there that well, but you'll hear a little spark if it's touching. So I'll be right back. All right, so they're snugged up. Everything should be good to go. Let me move my tools in case it does fire up. And I don't want to throw things in the floor. So move all this and breathe around me, the air tube and whatnot. All I got left to do after it fires is got a bracket over here. Put this bracket on for the air filter, and she should be good to go. Let's see. I also did another test with this. Same thing. Put a pencil mark on it, but it didn't have the same girth, as they say in the industry. But so all that should be good. All the electrical's done. Let's see, make sure nothing's touching, no wires touching. I'll cut this off as soon as I know it runs and runs well. Let me move my vacuum cleaner. Kind of put my foot in the way to catch some of the little particles that shoot out sometimes when you start these things up. Let's say particles, I don't know what you'd want to call them. It just spits a little bit sometimes. Like my brand new one back there does the same thing. Condensation, I guess. Well, yeah, that's a better word. Condensation. So that's wet, black, soot. So let's see what we got. We have lights. Oop. And we got smoke. Cut it off. So they're obviously touching. I've got to shorten those up. So I got to redo everything I just did. Be back in 2 and 2. All right, so I got this back off, and I don't see where anything was touching on here to get that amount of smoke. So now it could also be that maybe they come packaged with maybe some kind of chemical or something like that, something like they put on like parts so it doesn't rust, or who knows. So I don't know. So I think what I'm going to do is take these back out. Like I said, I don't see anything where anything was touching, but that doesn't mean it maybe wasn't. I don't see where any paint or anything's missing when they kind of, but maybe it was close enough to get an arc or something, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is fire up the compressor and take these back off and file just a little bit down, and that should solve that, because right now we got lights, glow plug lights working. Says they're warm, no smoke. So it could have just been something like a residual from being handled, or something from the factory when they make them with some kind of coating or something like that. Of course, they don't come with any instructions, so to say to do this or do that or whatnot. But I know these are just a little longer. It could just be, maybe it's just barely touching, but I don't think it is. But that doesn't mean it isn't. So shave them 2 down, or those 3 down, and get back to this. Hopefully didn't feel like running the compressor tonight. Like I said, it's cold out here. It takes a while for it to fill up and all that stuff. And I really hate cutting and grinding on things with my kind of good stuff in here. You know, dust and stuff flying in the air, metal dust, all that, but shouldn't be too bad, just cutting them 3 little things down. All right, well, welcome back. Got this on. It was a ground issue. They were touching. I went ahead and just fixed up the wires. And what this is, it connects here, and it's just one continuous wire. It goes here, then connects there, then jumps here and jumps here. I started to make a new one, but I got about halfway through it, and I just didn't have the correct gauge wire, and I figured why waste the time and not be sure. So the insulation melted off of the existing wire. So what I did was I got some good I got some really good electrical tape, and I wound it up a couple times and then put some wire loom on it. And I think that'll suffice for now until I can get me another one. I hate rigging things up like that. So it's not like I'm cutting a lot of grass in 12-degree weather, but you can probably see in there to where I just shaved that threaded part down a bit. So like I said, it was touching. Won't finish it tonight because started cranking it up and then everything on the dash died. So got digging into it some more. What I found out was I got a wire here, the main power wire, and I think a couple of wires in there that are kind of corroded. Like I said, this is a 2012 or 13. I can't remember when we got it, where I used to work. But got to get a charger on the battery. Battery's died on me, cranking on it a little bit. And but yeah, it definitely was a ground issue. Got that straight. Nothing's touching. I should have turned the key before putting the valve cover on to where I could know if that was actually something on the little electrode or whatever you call it down there. But it wasn't. It was a ground issue. Well, as you can see now, everything is stone cold dead. Or that wire, I went to check the fuses to see if I had a fuse blown, and then I thought I had one, and because I couldn't see it, there's so much muck on it, so I went ahead and replaced it, and then nothing would come on the dash. But messing with it, like just kind of wiggling wires around, or it just might be totally dead. The battery may be. Now, but I had a jump on it, and of course the lights and stuff would come on, but this main power wire here, I've just got that kind of just poked. Well, there you go. Like I said, there's the glow plug light. Nothing's going on crazy down there. So, but right now I'm dealing with this, I believe. So I'm gonna pull the wires out. But it cranks over. I didn't get it to start, but I don't know if it was maybe I had a fuse blown, and it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. I don't know, but that's where I'm at now, is playing with this. I won't have it done tonight, but I'll post a video of what I've done so far. And you know, with the smoke, I really didn't, it bolted, the valve cover bolted down. I didn't see any, I mean, it must just barely have been touching, because I didn't, there was no gap, there was no oil flying out when I was cranking on it, anything like that. There's nothing, no seepage or anything, so it was just barely touching. But I post successes and failures. But right now I don't think it's a failure, just the battery is dead. So as you heard, the click. So I got a charger on this tonight, let it charge up, and hopefully get this fired up tomorrow. That's what usually happens here. I kind of stray off one little project, And I do finish things, obviously. I got stuff, plenty of stuff. 73 over there, you know, my Extreme and my 93 in the trailer and stuff like that. But everything kind of needs, not everything, but can't really mess with my trucks tonight. Like I said, it's 12 degrees and I'm kind of crammed for space. Can't really do any pressure washing on this truck. But I did pull it in here to get it out of the snow. But anyway, here it is, the X740. I should have had a trickle charger on the battery. I didn't. My mistake. But I guess kind of good in a way, because then it, like I said, this is the kind of stuff. I mean, I've never had an issue with this mower at all. Never. But the last time I used it in November, it had like a spitting and sputtering kind of issue, like it wasn't getting fuel. But like I said, come to find out, I had what they call diesel bugs, and the strainer on the pickup was kind of mucked up. So like I said, I got all that straight, and just some things I had to do to it. I mean, I've never had issues with this. Of course, I do the regular maintenance, all that stuff, everything, you know, fuel filters, oil, all that stuff, and clean up, pressure wash it and stuff. But of course, you can't get to every little spot, and I think that's the issue here. As you can see, little grimes of dirt coming out. And as I pulled this off, because I had this happen before, and I played around with the fuse and never had the issue since, but it was summer, so you know, everything kind of easier to mess with in the summertime when it's warm and all that stuff. And when it's cold, of course, wires get brittle, things aren't as malleable. And but it was a good thing, because like I said, I took this off and this wire came out immediately. So that's what's going on with that. So it'll take me a minute to figure out how to get this all apart, get the little fuse connector there apart, and get this to where it's whatever kind of fitting or terminal, I should say, that goes on that. And I think these two are loose as well. But I would maybe 65% success, I think I would say, on this deal here so far. I don't call it a success unless it's running, and it's not running right now, so can't really say a success. But I'll give an update in a few days and go from there. Hopefully the tires for this will be here tomorrow and get those on. Maybe I'll play with the bumper, something like that. But as it is right now, kind of dead in the water with it being so cold and doing things I want to do to it as far as cleaning. It needs, I like to start with a clean slate per se, like get everything pressure washed and kind of just go from there. And that's, you know, you feel good about it. Of course, the grill's got to come off to get the bumper off. And I probably won't really mess with any of that little bit of surface rust for right now. Pick a warmer day, spring, summer, you know, when you got it's a little bit warmer out, paint works a little bit better and all that stuff. But like I said, I'm not going to do anything, you know, big time to it. I'm not taking this truck apart. Next thing you know, you've got that over there. Well, that was a project anyway, but that's what happens when you tend to tell yourself, well, I'll just take this off and paint this. Next thing you know, well, that looks good. Well, I'll do this, see if I can find that. Well, I'm gonna take the fender off, and I'll take the radiator support off. Next thing you know, you got pieces. And if I had a crew here, a couple guys that were into it too, not working for me or doing my dirty work, but you know, just kind of, everyone kind of messing around. You know how it is when you got buddies and stuff, which that's kind of what I lack. But boo-hoo, wah, all that good stuff. But anyway, you get taking things apart, and sometimes they stay apart. That's not what I want to do with this. So in my other video, I explained that. But anyhow, off topic. But tonight was a good night to mess with this and kind of see where I'm at. It did crank over, but it didn't fire right up. But that could have been, the battery could have been weak, and that's why it didn't happen. I'm hoping that they're not too long. I don't know if I have to read up on glow plugs. I don't know if they ground out, if they're touching something inside of the head. I don't know if it works that way or not, but to my knowledge, everything is working. Nothing's touching. No chafe wires are touching anything. So right now I'm dealing with a dead battery. Even with this messed up, if I get the battery charged, I should be able to at least fire it up and just know that it works and runs. Then I can clean the wiring up, fix that up, and get that straight. But as you see, that's the dust and stuff that came out of it, which, like I said, is a 2013. I pressure wash it maybe every other week, something like that, you know, especially some of the yards that I do. It definitely needs to be clean. But unless you're going to take everything apart, I mean, you're going to get stuff like that. And for it to be a 2013 and to be dealing with that now, I mean, that's never had an issue, like I said, up until November. So can't complain. Can't complain. Got this grill filed down for a guy for a job. I got to get the corners done. Got that filed down so I can get that polished up for him and back to him. Plenty of things going on. Got the tank, new sender, and some lines in that. So all I've really got to do to that now is run, I think, I got to put the regulator on it, fuel pressure regulator. I got the headers on it, like I said in the video, but I've got to get them marked and I've got to get them cleared for the spark plug. Those heads were a little bit different than the heads I had on it, and I didn't take that into consideration until I went to bolt up the exhaust, and the spark plugs are close. I mean, I guess I could get a shorter plug or something like that, but I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna take the headers, do it correctly, put a nice little notch in maybe two or three of the tubes, to where the plug boot clears. The plug clears nicely, but the boot is just too close for my taste. So, but anyway, everything else is up to snuff here. Thanks for watching if you did, and I figured I'd make at least have something to post. And yeah, hopefully get this fired up and get the hood and stuff back on it, and get it from just sitting in one spot. Especially with the work I put into it, like waiting for those glow plugs was a pain, but it is what it is. But hopefully that'll be taken care of. See ya. I don't know if you can hear me over the engine, but got it running. The problem was the battery was dead. Right here, I still gotta go through that, but I kind of hacked it up a little bit. Just gotta get it going, but she runs. Put the charge on it last night. Got a good charge on it. Even with it being about 18 degrees, fired right up. Like I said, I gotta go through this. Maybe see if I can find a new one. They're kind of corroded, the wires are kind of falling apart. But overall, the important stuff is done. All right, so sorry for the quick edits on these things. These videos I meshed together. Still kind of learning things. And by learning, I'm too trifling to do it the right way. But anyway, you get the idea. But like I said in the last video, when it was running, like I charged the battery, that was the main issue. Well, not really the main issue, but this right here is the main issue. I've got to go in there and tear all those wires out, clean everything, put some new terminals on them. But let's see if she'll, oh, I got lights. See if she'll fire up. Awesome. Everything seems to be working as it should. Like I said, I had the grounding issue. I thought I had it cleared, but obviously it was not. So, like I said, file those down. Give them some clearance. Kind of fix that wire. I'm going to see about ordering a new one. If not, I'll make one. Like I said, I attempted one last night. but I don't have the correct gauge wire here. Maybe I'll get the correct gauge and do it, or just buy an actual replacement. But either way, everything checks out. A few things, I put the filter, bracket and stuff back on it, but that's not a big thing. Play with these wires, get these cleaned up. Sometimes little accidents happen. It's a good thing, because last year when I started using this one full time, or off and on full time, it didn't die on me, but I came in here to start it and it was dead, and I thought maybe the switch was bad, but I took the fuse out and cleaned the terminal like on the outside here and put the fuse back in, and it fired up. So I'm just sitting here thinking, things sitting for a minute, all that good stuff. But I never had a problem with that. But then last night, the smoke show that you've seen made me think, all right, well, before I fixed the wire, and then before I fired it back up, or tried to fire it up, I took the fuses out and cleaned them off and checked to see if I had any blown. And then I put the fuse back in, and I had nothing in the dash, no lights, no anything. So then I said, well, I'll just pull this off, check it out. And the main power wire just came right on out. And you can just see where it's just old, corroded, not super corroded, but enough to where, it just it's not got a good connection. And I think these two back here are kind of going the same route. So, like I said, I'm gonna see if I can find a new block. If not, I'll see what I can do to make one, maybe. Just kind of put maybe some inline fuses in it. But I'm gonna go here in a minute, see if I can find one. But just wanted to post a video of I did get it straight. But like I said, I post successes and failures, because nobody's perfect. Whenever I do any kind of videos, I don't sit there and say, well, let me see what the outcome is first, then film it. That's definitely not how I roll. You'll see a lot of people do that, to where it's just like, oh wow, this guy must be a genius. He figured it out. But a lot of the times, you'll see that people, they've already got it figured out, and then they like to pretend they don't have to have it figured out, and then they get the aha moments. Kind of like those old shows from like the early 2000s, reality shows, where you'll have a crew of people, like take whatever automotive show you're watching, they'll have a crew of people, and all of a sudden, right toward the end of the deadline, oh, it won't start, or it won't do this. There was a particular show a while back in the early mid-2000s where they had spent thousands in the build of this car, and they kept cranking and cranking on it. And I think that's for the novices and people that really don't know anything and kind of live vicariously through television. And they kept cranking it, and it was like, we put the new distributor in it, and it's doing this. And you could tell that the distributor was off, or like 180 out, and they were just looking at each other like, what is going on? We just don't know. And then toward the end, it was like, oh yeah, the distributor was 180 out. Not that, that's kind of like an obvious thing when you put a distributor in something and it doesn't act right, so you just kind of redo that procedure, bring it back up to number one, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, kind of ranting there. But whenever I do a video, it's me doing it in pretty much real time. If it screws up, it screws up. But that's how you learn. But like I said, that was my fault, obviously. I put the valve cover on, and like I said, it bolted down fine. It didn't feel, but it doesn't take much to make a connection. But anyway, got that situated, solved. Everything seems to be working. Give her one more go, see if I got connections. Oh yeah. I'll come back in here in a little while. It's like 20 degrees here. So I'll come back out here in a little while, let everything cool down, just kind of double check. Got the glow plugs are working correctly and whatnot, because when I was cranking kind of with the dead battery, obviously it's not cranking enough to fire, but you're getting fuel in things and all that stuff, and who knows if the fuses was working to where the glow plugs were working, and it was cranking, and you could see fuel, like raw fuel just coming out the pipe, and you could smell it. But I think that too was where it was just cranking slow and not doing what it should. I came in here this morning with it being with a video you seen of it or saw of it start or running, it was like 18 degrees, and it cranked kind of slow with a good charge on the battery, and but it fired right up after like a few seconds. So I know everything's working there, and it had to burn out some fuel that might have been kind of sitting in there, whatnot, some diesel. Cause see, here's the little specks, you know, the little spits. But hey, it is what it is. I'm glad I got it running. This is a money maker for me in the summertime. So it's been a good machine to me for the last 10 plus years. So happy about that. So get this situated, move on to other things. As usual, thanks for watching. See you next time.